O své práci a žurnalistech v Africe nám více řekla doktorka Monika Kopytowská z univerzity v Lodži. And good morning. What do you think is the biggest problem when informing about conflicts from places like Africa and Europe?
I think the main problem is, of course, the very simplified coverage and negative coverage, which on the one hand is very appealing to people because it makes people involved. Otherwise, people perhaps wouldn't be interested in what is happening far away in Africa. The reason also behind using this stereotypical coverage and simplified coverage is that it's much easier for journalists to rely on something that people already know. So as a result, I think we get the information, we get media coverage, which, as I've said, it's based on stereotypes. It does not distinguish between particular African countries and between particular contexts. And I would say the main problem is presenting Africa as one country without acknowledging that there are different problems, different cultures, different people.
Mm-hmm. You started in 2005 with voluntary work in Tanzania. What did your work there involve?
I was teaching English at a Franciscan mission in Tanzania to kindergarten children and primary school children. And in fact, this time, what made me fascinated with Africa as such, but then also made me realize how rich and in a way unknown to us the African culture is. In that case, it was Tanzanian culture. And as I've said during my presentation, because when I came back, people started asking me questions about these children, if they wear shoes, if they are with swollen bellies, it made me think of where people get these images from. And I concluded they get most of them from the media.
In Nairobi, you taught courses on discourse and conflict. Is there a need to teach students these things differently there?
Differently there, I think what my colleagues from Nairobi University expected me to do was to introduce some new methodological and theoretical perspective. So this was my main goal. On the other hand, what I found fascinating there was that I could learn a lot from people there. Part of the students, especially students from journalism, because I taught students from media and journalism and students from linguistics, the first group, these were already practicing journalists, so they could share a lot of interest or a lot of insights. But what they, I think, got from me and what they could use in their work was some kind of awareness related to structures they could use, so how much the linguistic choices or the visual choices that they made could influence potential audiences. So I think the need is to show different methodologies and theoretical perspectives.
Is there something that surprised you about the aspiring journalists in Nairobi?
Something that surprised me. Something that fascinates me about journalists in Kenya is, and not only journalists, is there is this need for public deliberation. So people are really interested in politics. People are really interested in what is happening in the media, like if you think of also ordinary audiences. And the Kenyan journalists are, all of them are also very active on social media. So I think what surprised me, what fascinated me, it still fascinates me, is their real engagement in social and political life. And then also openness to what, let's say, Western media in a way offer, because a lot of them, this also was an interesting insight, a lot of them follow on a daily basis, especially British media, for example.
You also coordinate an EU project called Contact. What does the name stand for, and what is its purpose?
The project is about counteracting and combating hate speech online. And the main goal is to both identify instances of hate speech and hate crime, and make people, I think this is also quite important, make people aware of this problem, because as I said in my presentation, instances of hate speech are still underreported in mainstream media. So to raise awareness, that's why within this project we also have workshops for educators, for police, for other law enforcement officials. So to both identify, to then also encourage people, because we have online and then mobile application which allows people to report incidents of hate speech. So to encourage people to speak about problem like this, especially if they experience this, and in this way somehow combat, in this way fight with hate speech.
Okay, thank you. And one last question about terrorism. I've noticed that when Western media cover terrorism, and let's say the terrorist is white and Christian, we try to victimize him. But when it's a Muslim, it's just a terrorist. What do you think is the biggest problem, and is there a way to change it?
Yes, of course. I mean, one of the main problems now in covering terrorism is, again, this stereotypical representation and linking it to one religion in particular, linking it to Islam. And as you have said, if we have instances of terrorism, we just explain it of which is performed by white person or white extremists. We just call it, we call this person mentally ill person, not a terrorist. But when religion comes in, of course, it becomes an issue. I think it's, so again, one reason behind it is this relying on stereotypes is easier, and also not enough, I think the media don't sort of delve deep enough to understand, even some of the researchers, to understand the causes of terrorism and radicalization. So what are the real motives behind it?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.